All those in favor say aye. Okay, on our agenda, we have new business. Consider approval of the levy estimate to be submitted to the State Board of Education and the Department of Tax and Revenue.
President Ford, Dr. Starcher, board members. Tonight, I'm here to present to you the proposed levy rates for FY27. This is a statutory meeting to determine the amount to be raised by the levy of taxes. There is no approval for tonight. Pending approval by the state auditor, this meeting will stand adjourned until the third Tuesday in April, which is April the 21st at 9 a.m. So you have a packet in front of you. On page 1, discusses the different classifications of property. Class 1 is no longer assessed for tax purposes, but Class 2 is all property owned, used, and occupied by the owner exclusively for residential purposes. It includes all farms, land used for horticulture and grazing, occupied and cultivated by their owners or bona fide tenants. Class 3 is all real and personal property situated outside of municipalities, exclusive of Class 1 and Class 2. And Class 4 is all real and personal property situated inside of municipalities, exclusive of Class 1 and Class 2. On page 2 is a certificate of valuation that was received by the assessor's office. And if you look in column E, Class 2 property in Raleigh County is valued at $1,646,714,000. Class 3 is $1,705,384,000. Class 4, $610,711,000. And total assessed valuations, $3,962,809,000. Over on page 3 is the tax incremental financing. Of course, those properties are properties that reduce the amount of collections from your regular levy and excess levy. That value is $149,088,000. Over on page 4 is a 5-year tax profile for Raleigh County assessed valuations. And you can see at the bottom of the page, projected increase of $284,734,000. That's 7.74% for 26-27. And as you can see, for the last 5 years, Raleigh County has seen increased valuations, assessed valuations. So that is a positive thing for the county. I'll also state, you can see that large increases in 25 and 26-27. Those are usually indicative of when the assessor's office sends out notices to individuals, including myself and probably most of you, of increased valuations. The Board of Education has nothing at all to do with those valuations. We don't request them. We have no say in it. We don't get notice when they happen. So just so you know, we don't have anything to do with increased assessed valuations in the district. Over on page 5 is the schedule of proposed levy rates, and this is for the regular levy. And for Class 2 property, $6,389,000. Class 3 property, $13,234,000. Class 5 property, $4,739,000. Total assessed valuations, this is gross, $24,362,000. When you remove the allowance for uncollectibles and tax discounts and tax increment financing and the assessor's valuation fund, you get the projected net taxes of $21,185,000 for FY27. That is up about $1,313,000. As you know, on your regular levy, anytime you have an increase in regular levy collections, of course that goes against your local share, which means you do have a reduced state aid from that. That is on the regular levy. Now, the excess levy, you do not. But over on page 6 is the excess levy. Class 2 property, $7,558,000. Class 3 property, $15,655,000. Class 4 property, $5,606,000, for a total gross valuation on the excess levy of $28,820,000. When you take out the allowances for uncollectibles and discounts, you get a projected net tax collections of the excess levy of $26,267,000. Our excess levy call is actually $22,862,000, so that's a difference of about $3.4 million. Total projected net tax collections from the regular and excess levies, $47,451,942. When you compare that to FY26, which was $44,493,455, you have an increased overall levy collections of $2,958,487. It's about 6.65%. Over on page 7, shows you the calculation of the tax increment financing reduction from your regular levy collections. That's $586,000. And over on page 8 is an election history, just for your information, regarding excess levy votes. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one,
Mhm.
and it's not so much a question as I guess it is a question. Could you go over local share? I know they're calculating it different now, and I don't remember exactly how they're doing it.
Well, I'll have to come back to you on that. I'm not sure the new calculations myself.
Okay,
And typically, we don't get the actual local share, how it impacts, until the state auditor has approved our proposed levy rates, and then the state will send us the local share calculations, and I can certainly come back to you.
I know they changed the percentage and so forth, but
Yeah, there was some changes there.
I can't remember what it is.
I'm not sure either.
Okay.
So I'll have to come back to you.
Okay,
But once they give us that local share, I can certainly come back and tell you what impact it has on FY27 in relation to our schedule of levy rates. Okay.
Only comment I would have on this thing is that, and we all got the assessments and everything, but that being said, our assessor does an excellent job keeping our values current. A lot of counties let those go, let them go, and all of a sudden, boom.
Right.
So instead of having she does a great job, and her office does a great job of keeping those values current. And Raleigh County continues to grow, and so we're blessed to have a good tax base to fund our educational system with.
Correct.
And I appreciate her
Absolutely.
for that.
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to?
Mm.
Oh, there is no motion. Okay, well, that's all we got. Thank you. Yeah. No more questions? So that's all we have on our agenda. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. I'd like to call meeting to order. Let the record show that all board members are present. Have a motion to approve the agenda with one small addition. Under 11, there will be 11C. Approve superintendent's recommendations. Personnel 25-26.
I move we approve the superintendent, or excuse me, approve the agenda as was submitted to us with the correction or addition of 11C.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. First thing on our agenda is Dr. Starcher.
Thank you, President Ford. Tonight, we're going to start trying to catch back up on our difference makers. We've had several we've had to cancel, but we do have a difference maker here with us this evening. Unfortunately, this person knows that they're being recognized. I couldn't figure out a way to surprise the individual. So I'm going to read the nomination. Mr. Perkins is an exquisite teacher. He is arguably the best teacher at Independence High School and has helped so many students achieve amazing math SAT scores. He teaches in so many different ways for every student to be able to comprehend the difficult problems. Not only that, Mr. Perkins is a delight to talk to and cares for each and every student he has. He is more than deserving of this award. So if Mr. Chad Perkins will come forward, we'll give him our award. Anyway, congratulations. We'll put you up on the billboard. Do you ever see the billboards? The billboards here in Beckley? He'll be up there soon.
I just have to say, I remember when Chad Perkins was a brand new teacher. So I don't know if that means you're getting old or I'm getting old. Congratulations.
And I think obviously based on the wording of that, this is a current student and it just means so much to our committee when we review these nominations, parents and students, when they make those, when they make these nominations, you just know they're very heartfelt. And I won't announce the student's name, but we certainly appreciate the student making this recommendation for Mr. Perkins. So thank you for all you do.
Okay, moving right along. On agenda items, we have a speaker, Debbie Painter.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Debbie Painter, and I wanted to speak before you vote on personnel changes tonight. Tonight, I want to address a decision that may look good on paper, but has serious consequences for the students who rely on us most at Liberty High School. That is the decision to combine the autism classroom with the moderate classroom and losing an exceptional special education teacher in the process. For our children, structure is essential. They thrive in predictable environments with consistent routines designed to reduce anxiety, support communication, and build independence. Combining these classrooms disrupts the system that keeps them safe and helps them learn. Each classroom learns differently, and individualized attention is essential. Our special education classrooms are designed to meet these diverse learning styles each and every day, ensuring each student has the best chance to succeed. And let me repeat, each student has the best chance to succeed. Now, I applaud your efforts to think outside the box to implement an advanced ag program with a military component to help regular ed students and help decrease the dropout rate at Liberty High School. But if we don't have funding to keep the 2 special education teachers that we have at Liberty, I don't understand where the funding is coming from to implement this military ag program, especially if the Board of Education will have to reimburse the educator's salary of $80,000 to the WVMA. And correct me if I'm wrong. Please don't take away the special ed students who already have enough obstacles to find the money to implement this new program. Please make the right choice and keep the special ed rooms separate to ensure proper education for those students. I urge you to pause and reconsider, not for convenience or for budgets, but for the children whose futures depend on our decisions. Our special education students deserve classrooms tailored to their needs, teachers who are supported, and environments where they can succeed. Our children are different, not less, and they don't deserve less than any other student in that school. Thank you for listening and for prioritizing our most vulnerable students in every decision you make. Thank you.
You. We have no non-agenda items. Communication reports. Dr. Hutchinson.
Well, since wintertime is trying to get over, maybe, I was able to go back to Clear Fork and read, and y'all know I love going down there to read to kindergarten. I was also able to read, because it was Read Across America Week, I was also able to read to first grade at Marsh Fork, and that was the best little group of kids, I swear. They were amazing. And I'm also continuing to work on the library at Stratton. We're making progress. There's still a lot of work to be done. And it would be so nice if we had money for a librarian, but we don't. So the group that I belong to, we're working diligently to try to get that library in order. The most amazing thing, though, is the kids really use it. So when we go in, there are books everywhere where the kids have checked them out and are reading and everything. So that's an amazing thing in itself, but I enjoy doing it.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
I attended Hollywood's readathon. The kids were having the best time reading. It's in my opinion, it's a very good fundraiser for the schools. It's educationally sound, and it's 100% profit.
Thank you. Ms. Henry?
Not much. I am supporting the, it's a different kind of fundraiser, I think, for Bradley. It's, you commit money, and that student that you're supporting gets 10 books if they reach the goal. If they're above that, then books go to kids in their class. So I don't know. I just thought it was really a cool fundraiser.
Mr. Snuffer?
I don't have a lot, just finishing up basketball season and watching the teams play and get ready for the state tournaments, both the girls and boys. I've attended quite a few games, and we have, it's been very interesting to watch the kids play and competition and stuff. So I've enjoyed that. I guess we have high school tonight, even Shady's playing tonight, so we'll see what happens with that. But the girls are already down there playing, so it's been an interesting thing. And I take therapy in Wyoming County, so I get all the latest on Wyoming East, West Side, and while it goes down there. So I know all that stuff. So it's been very interesting. That's all. Thank you.
The only thing I've got, I had an opportunity to visit Shady Elementary, Stratton, Mapscott, and there was one, I know there's another one. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I had an opportunity to meet with them last Monday and visited with the kids and got to read a book to some of them.
He was Mr. Cat in the Hat.
That's all.
A couple things in your or at your locations or seats tonight. You should have seen a save the date for April 10th. Ms. Blankenship has provided that for you for the upcoming Pre-K Expo. Again, it's April 10th from 9 to 1. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Ms. Blankenship, but it will be at the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center as always. So thank you for her work on that. You should also have a copy of Halfway Highlights. Ms. Blankenship and Ms. Hodges put this together again this year. If you recall, this was something we started maybe 2 or 3 years ago, just to provide families and students information mid-year. You know, we do our back to school supplement, but then what is it that we want our parents and students to know as we make enter the second semester and make a strong finish. So anyway, you should have a copy of that. We used all of our printed copies, so you have a copy of the copy. So you should have that. So again, thanks to Ms. Blankenship and Ms. Hodges for that. We will prepare our Summer Adventures booklet again this year. And then in the fall, we're going to do something a little different for the back to school document. But we receive, I don't want to say good reviews, but people seem to like these documents. So we'll continue to do that. I have a little bit of a facility update. I'm going to, I know Ms. Colvin, she's probably in Mr. Butcher's office. She'll be talking about playgrounds here in a little bit. So I'm not going to talk about playgrounds just yet. I am going to give you a little update on park. I think if I remember correctly, the last update was both phases should finish in May. I think that was the last update, but today we have a new update for you. And the new update is substantial completion. Should be April 26th for phase 1. So phase 1, that's the gymnasium, the auditorium. It's that part of the project. There's still much to be done. So we hope April 26th, we hope we meet that deadline. And then June 10th is the substantial completion date for phase 2. So that's the band room, the breezeway, water, the football field stabilization, so forth, track stabilization. So April 26th and June 10th. I wanted to give you those dates. I know you obviously are interested in that.
Does that include accession? I was going to say.
That should be April 26th. It's with the gymnasium. So yes.
Okay, that's right.
Well, that's good.
I don't want you to get overly anxious.
Oh.
Those are the dates we've been given, but I can't say enough how patient Park and its community have been. So those are the updates on that. Like I said, when Ms. Colvin comes in to talk about playgrounds, if we have any other, if we want to expand on that, we can. I will say we are hoping to begin those projects soon in terms of demo and so forth. But we'll talk about that when we get there. The last couple things, I listed these for you. I have a document. I'm going to try. If I can't get it to work, Mr. Cook is going to help me. I have a copy. Oh, gosh. Here you go. Yeah. No, I'm giving it to you. So at our last meeting, many of us mentioned that we had recently attended or participated in the School Board Association conference, and all of us did in some capacity. So if you recall, at that conference, Uriah Cummings, who's the Director of School Finance, I believe that's his title, at the State Department, talked with us about building utilizations and what we should be looking at as counties. I had always heard that the goal, if you will, for the utilization of buildings was 85%. And I know when we're building a new building or doing work, that is what we shoot for, is 85%. But at that same conference, Mr. Cummings told us that any building that falls below 60%, we should be watching, we should be talking about, and just being aware of any building that's below 60%. So I've put it at the top across your document, you'll see numbers 1 through 11, columns 1 through 11. So if we go all the way over to column 11, well, 10 and 11, they go together. Column 10 is the student enrollment in each of our buildings beginning in 23-24. And then column 11 has the actual utilization. So for instance, let's take Independence High School. Independence High School in 23-24 had 592 students, and it has based on that enrollment, it had an overall utilization of 67.43. You might ask, Dr. Starcher, how did you know what the building utilization is? Everyone's familiar with the 10-year comprehensive educational facilities plan. The architects, when we work with whatever architect it is, in our case it's ZMM, the architectural firm calculates the program capacity for that building, and that's based on the number of classrooms, the purpose of those classrooms, and how many students each of those classrooms should hold. Typically, I'll just be honest, most classrooms hold 25 students. That's the number that's typically assigned. But the architects calculate that. So in this case of Independence, we had in column 10, 592 students. That number, whatever that enrollment is divided by the number in column 2, program capacity, which is 878 at Independence High School. And that gives us that percentage of utilization or building utilization, which is 67.43%. So you can look through columns 10 and 11. If you look down through, you'll see several cells in column 11, several cells that are yellow. In fact, I can find my notes. I counted these before I came in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. 12 of our schools in 23-24 fell below 60%. Now, some of them are a percentage below, some are 30% below. But we had 11 schools in 23-24 that were below 60%. If you skip over to columns 8 and 9, 24-25, again, you can see the enrollment in 24-25 and the building utilization. We actually went to 11 schools that fell below 60. I believe it was Cranberry, Edge just over 60% in 24-25. So I gave you those two sets of information just for some historical context. But if you look at columns 3 through 7, that's current information. So I wanted to speak about that just momentarily. If you look at column 4, that building utilization is based on the student enrollment as reported in WEVIS. And I think it's important for me to share with you 5, 6, and 7. Column 5 separates out those students enrolled in virtual school. We've talked and we've expanded our virtual program. We've talked about the increases in our virtual program, but those students are coming from our traditional brick and mortar schools. So in column 5, you can see the virtual school enrollment assigned to our secondary schools, and then you'll also see Head Start enrollment. Coal City Elementary and Stratton Elementary, they are assigned the students from either Sophia Head Start or Central Head Start. So their enrollment, if you look in WEVIS, their enrollment is inflated because they hold the Head Start numbers. So what I did in column 5, if you come across from Coal City, you'll see 36 students. That means 36 students are at the Sophia Head Start. And then if you come on down to Stratton, you'll see 49 students are included in Stratton's overall enrollment, but they're really at Head Start, Central Head Start. So you can see the adjusted, take Stratton for instance. WEVIS shows 281 students, so that would be an 81.69% utilization, but that's not accurate. You have to separate out the Head Start students of 49, which gives you an enrollment of 232, which gives you a utilization of 67.44. So when we do that, If we just look at column 4, which is just overall building utilization, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14 or 15. You have my numbers. You're the one that has my summary sheet. Here, take this, please. I knew I did it. No, I just haven't. So, 14 schools in column 4. So overall, not taking into account virtual or Head Start, 14 schools have fallen below 60%. And then if you look at column 7, that, it separates out virtual and Head Start. I think Liberty was the only one we had to add. Yes. So it went to 15 schools. So I wanted to share that with you. I know you've asked questions in the past. And then when Mr. Cummings talked about this at our last conference, I felt the need to share that with you. Does anybody have a question about this report? Okay. My next report, go ahead. Were you gonna say? Okay. The next item I'd like to share with you is some personal information. You've seen most of this already. I've been able to add a little to it. So this is 3 pages long. You bear with me. Let's see. Bear with me on the first couple parts, and then I'll get to the sheet that I can show everybody. So the first 2 sheets are the professional or preliminary computations for both professional and service across the state. And if you look at the front page, those are our professional educators. Raleigh County is 80.42 over in terms of what the state is funding. If you look down the far left column, you'll see little red check marks. So I've gone through this and I've identified the counties that are, I guess I'll say, in greater over the formula number. They have a greater over the formula number than we do. So those counties, there are 4: Cabell, Harrison, Marshall, and Wetzel. When you look at us, rank us statewide, if you will, we're the 51st in the state in terms of professionals over the formula, 51 out of 55. The second page is the service. We do a little better there. We're 45th out of 55. Berkeley, Greenbrier, Harrison, Kanawha, Logan, Marion, Marshall, Mercer, Wetzel, and Wood have more service personnel over the funding formula than we do. So I want to share this with you. You have this as your third page. This is just, you've seen most of this. I've added a few columns for you on the right, but gone back as far as I could find. 2010-11, you can see our enrollment in 10-11 was 12,372. We had some slight gains through 2013-14, and then we've consistently declined. We are at 10,090 for the current year. You can see the difference in enrollment in your third column from year to year. And then in your fifth column, you can see professional educators in excess. So you can see a historical account of our professional educators in excess of the state funding formula, moving back all the way to 2011-12. So the current year, what's projected, for 26-27 is our greatest overage that we've seen in that period of time. The same is true for service. We're projected to be at 81.6 over. So in both columns, we're projected to be over more each category than we've been in this period of time. Basic state aid, step 10, you can see that even over the last few years, even though enrollment was declining, our basic state aid was still increasing. And there are a number of factors for that, and I'm sure I won't say all of them, but obviously we've seen an increase in the number of grade level ECATs we've had to have, first grade, second grade, third grade, increases in salary, state salary increases, PEIA, retirement, all of that is factored in. But now, next year, we're actually projected to start seeing a decrease in state aid. Yet our personnel over will be greater than it has been during this period of time. The last three columns, this is something we've put together. You can see active student, well, the last three columns with information. Active student counts, Hope. You can see that our number of Hope Scholarship students continues to rise. You have the public charter school enrollment and then the homeschool enrollment. So out to the far right, you can see those totals. We don't have the non-public school enrollment. The non-public school, that's the non-public school that doesn't have Hope, okay? And the same is true with the homeschool. That's homeschool that doesn't have Hope. So you can see that in the far right, in 22-23, not including the non-public school students, because we don't have that number, we had 1,225 students. The following year, 1,667 students had left for one of these options. Last year, 2,032. And then this year, so far, 1,841. And I think when I say so far, I hope we don't lose any more, but that's as of now. The last three were for the full year. So
I know when I quizzed Miss Lacy on attendance about that exact thing, she said that we were on track to meet the other goal. That was my understanding. So, I mean, I hope we don't, but we're on track and everything. It looks like we would.
yes, we are. But I know it looks less, but I just wanted to make sure I said that only includes through now, we still have a few months to go. So that's, obviously our meetings are public, and I think it's important for our public to understand the reality of where we are as a school system in terms of enrollment and buildings and personnel. It's a lot for the board, for myself, for the school system to consider as it makes decisions. So I wanted to share that with you. And do you have any questions about that?
I just did some basic math there, but if you take that 1,841 times the well, that was the basic aid on that. I was looking for the number for the per student we get paid. What is it?
It varies, but they'll tell you somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 is normally what you use to.
Well, I know the Hope's 5,000 something.
It changes from year to year.
Year, but I
So-
thought ours was over 6,000.
It really just varies. So it's
Yeah.
hard to say a specific number.
Well, if we use 6,000, that's $11 million
Yes.
for those kids. That's real money. Okay, that's real money. $11 million out of our budget for staffing, for buildings, facilities, everything.
Well,
So,
that's correct. And, the state gives us these numbers, obviously, in terms of the overages. And it's projected that the overages will cost about $10 million, that above and beyond state aid, which goes right along with that 11 million
yeah,
you just
yeah,
mentioned.
yeah. So that's just a thing we'll do it.
That's all.
I think it's important that people understand that those numbers and those things are all not associated with anything that's been done by Raleigh County Schools. It's basically been done by people who are now in session in Charleston. So if you have frustrations, you need to make sure you focus that in the right direction.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you. So, other reports. First semester high school freshman data. Ms. Hodges.
Good evening. President Ford, Superintendent Dr. Starcher, fellow board members. I have some data to share with you this evening. I can't remember if last year about this time, if I presented to you first semester failure rates for high schools. Most concerning was ninth grade. When I reviewed ninth grade failures this time last year, I was highly concerned with the number of ninth grade courses that students were not passing in comparison to 11th, 12th grade courses as they matured. What were we not doing for ninth graders to help make sure that they were successful? Through our Gear Up program, we have partnered up with the Vela Institute. And last year at the end of the year, they came, they interviewed a lot of our students and our teachers, just said, what are you worried about looking at, going to high school? And some of their answers were very real. Will I have an adult I can trust? Where will I sit at lunch? Will people know us as the bad group that we've always been known as? So it was really interesting to see what the students said. So we started working, like I said, with Vela Institute. We put together quite a bit of information. Schools put together a plan back in September. At the very beginning, teachers received the training from Dr. Bergman he actually is a professor at Appalachian State and works through Vela. He presented a training for us with all of the data that they had compiled from the student interviews last year and teacher interviews. And we're following up again with that this year. But in August, he presented this information to high school teachers. And then in September, he came back and he met with myself and all of the high school and middle school principals. So we started saying, how, looking at eighth graders moving to high school, what do we need to start doing at the middle school level to prepare them better for high school? Some of the topics that came out in conversation were, we need to stop at the middle school level scaring them to death, being like, oh, well, when you get to high school, they're not going to put up with this, and really kind of change how we are preparing those kids, because that kept coming out in their comments during their interviews was, are we going to be able to be successful? Am I going to pass any of my classes? So it was that. Those statements were definitely sticking with students. And so there were a lot of things that we came up with. Some schools opted to use some of the funding through Gear Up to provide after-school tutors, depending on whether or not students would stay and participate, if staff would, be willing to be those tutors. A couple of the schools chose to use some of the Gear Up funding because high school, it's not like ninth grade teachers don't have a common planning. They can't just meet, at 9 a.m. to talk about, a group of students. So Gear Up has provided money for after school meetings so that they can stay and those teacher intervention teams to really focus on students. So I say all of that to say, if you look at the information that I provided you and the graphs that I've created, last year when, my red flags went up, that 20 for ELA, that was 20% of our ninth graders not passing English 9. This year, we dropped to 8% of our ninth graders not passing English 9 first semester. You can see through those graphs, Algebra 1, typical ninth grade class, world history, earth science. If you look at the trend for those ninth grade courses, some of the things that we have put in place are definitely paying off. I had a meeting with Dr. Bergman today, and we're working on the focus groups for this spring. And part of what we're going to put together, and he's going to help us to implement in the interviews for the students and teachers, is to say, at the school level, I can look at numbers, I can analyze numbers all day, but what is it that really paid off for these students? Was it the tutoring? Was it the after-school meetings? So that's going to be a big portion of our follow-up this spring with those focus groups. But in looking at the data, high school principals and high school teachers deserve a huge round of applause for this drastic decrease in first semester failures. I know that I had a teacher stop me in the hallway second or third week of school this year and said, I just want you to know that training that we had at the beginning of the year has changed the way I'm saying things to some of these ninth graders. This isn't high, this is high school now, figure it out. They've really kind of rethought some of the things that they need to say to just kind of let ninth graders know that they're there to support them and make sure that when they are leaving ninth grade, they are prepared and not already behind. If you are leaving ninth grade with 0 credits, the possibility of you not graduating on time, of course, increases. So anything that we can do to help that ninth grade transition, I feel is a huge win. And looking at the data, our schools have done a great job this year of doing that. Any questions about those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, one of just sticks out,
Mm-hmm.
it does real good till you get down to U.S. history.
Yeah, and that was
I would think that's the one, of course, we all know that U.S. history isn't what we think it is because somebody else tells us it's something different now.
right.
But,
Some of what we talked about is the fact that it is still the same group of ninth graders. We can see in world that 12% of them, they failed that world history. So if we've moved them on to U.S., there's a good chance it's the same group of kids. Bad thing is that same group of kids still improved if you look at English 10 and geometry and so forth. So that is something we have to look at. It is kind of that outlier. Not really sure why, but that's going to be part of our focus group too.
I just.
Yeah, that one kind of sticks
I
out.
think it was one thing that, I can understand, world, it's a little more common, but U.S. history.
US, yeah.
Okay. It's just a thing.
It is different. Yes.
good.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm staying. Second item for myself this evening is to talk about the additional personal finance course. In the winter of 24, State Department rolled out the requirements for this new 1 prescribed credit. I've kind of given you some bullet points here, just quick facts to remember. Personal finance is not a social studies credit. It's not a math credit. It is a standalone credit that students have to graduate. It started with this year's freshman cohort. So if you remember possibly looking at those freshman books at the beginning of the year, personal finance was listed there. It is taking a little bit of a different turn based on some changes that came from Senate bill. Originally, it was recommended for 11th and 12th graders only. Then this past summer, they said, well, no, anybody can take it from 8th grade on. In talking to various high school principals in the county and high school teachers, mostly social studies, we felt that we wanted to keep it as an 11th, 12th grade course, just because a 9th grader learning personal finance is a different person than a 12th grader learning personal finance. And we just felt that, the information that they're going to actually learn in this course is going to be a lot more beneficial to an older student that would take it a little more serious and realize that it, is just a year after them learning, how they're going to implement it. The change that it is making in schedules, master schedules at the high school level. For the last many years, civics has been a full year course. It will now be 1 semester and personal finance will be the other semester. The only concern that State Department had in lumping those two together was if students are enrolled in AP Gov or dual credit civics. We will have to make certain that any student and any teacher that are teaching those courses implement those standards. So that is still a concern that they're trying to give us guidance on, and we've not received a ton, but we're starting to get there. We are in the process right now of adopting the textbook for this course, and then it will be in classrooms next year. Like I said, most of our schools are implementing personal finance into their master schedule starting next year. Like I said, it doesn't go into effect for students' graduation requirements until 2 years later because of the freshman cohort, but we're already in that process. In order for our teachers to be certified to teach this, those social studies teachers could be grandfathered in prior to June 30th. There was an option that business teachers could also be grandfathered in. However, it was strongly suggested in the beginning that not all high schools in the state had certified business teachers, but they, for the most part, had certified social studies teachers. So it has fallen pretty much in that social studies category. But like I said, most of our social studies teachers in the county were able to be grandfathered in with the waiver if it was completed by June 30th. For those that did not complete that or missed the due date, they completed through Finance University the course for personal finance. And I've talked to several teachers that actually completed that part because they missed the waiver. And they said the amount of information that they learned in there was amazing. And a couple of them said they didn't want to sound like nerds, but they were super excited about teaching the information that they learned. So I feel like there's a lot of excitement out there for this actual course. But like I said, it's going to take the personal finance pieces that were kind of intertwined into civics, separate, here's just a semester of civics, and now it'll be a semester of personal finance. Any questions about all of that?
I have one.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused.
Uh-huh.
So social studies teachers prior to when could be grandfathered?
June 30th, 24.
24.
Yes.
So
So
they
we
will
knew
have-
like 6 months.
So they're just grandfathered in to teach this course and they don't have to have any special training or anything?
Well, they're saying
I
that
mean,
they
I-
have
I
it.
see on here that after that date you have to have
Correct.
this.
Yes. They had to pay a little fee and sign away and be granted the waiver to move in to be able to teach those courses. Yes.
I don't think that's right.
State Department. Those
Well,
were
keep in mind, this is a legislative mandate, not the state.
correct. Correct.
But that just makes no sense to me, because if you're a certified social studies teacher that's been teaching for X number of years, that doesn't make you a personal finance teacher.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So though that, like I said, the first meeting that I learned about personal finance was in January of 24, and the waiver due date was June of 24. Yeah. Any other
Other things
questions?
make no sense to me, but that one doesn't.
Any other questions about personal finance?
Gave them a couple months to get their checkbook right.
Correct. Correct.
So what is I mean, a lot of kids take honors or dual credit on these classes here because it's not that, well, I don't say it's not hard. It's one they can pick up an extra credit.
Correct.
Easily on. So how are they they're going to just have that as part, the teacher teaching this dual credit or just have to incorporate these?
The standard there's a handful of standards that they're going to have to add into that AP or dual credit normal pacing guide that aren't already part of it that will fulfill this personal finance piece. And that is where myself and the high school principals are still working on trying to make sure we can figure that out.
But dual credit, isn't that done in cooperation with some
Correct,
college or something? So how, I mean,
but they still have to have the personal finance to graduate.
yeah, I mean, I'm just saying,
And so part of what like high school principals and I have talked about is, for those students, is it going to have to become, instead of maybe taking a one semester art elective, they have to take a personal finance? We're not sure yet. That is probably a good option. But we're still working.
Have you seen the curriculum for the course?
Yes. Well, in the textbook, and they've still not really given us a good copy of the standards yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I get those, we
It
can
could
really,
be based on what Mr. Extremely difficult.
Correct.
To incorporate that into a
correct,
dual credit course or,
correct.
I mean, especially if it's extensive because you have
Correct.
to cover both curriculums.
Correct. And, for dual credit, if it's a dual credit course that is being offered from Marshall University that doesn't have a live teacher here, and we just have a facilitator in those courses, if it's the AP course, well, they're working towards that exam at the end of the year. How much time can they take away? That's what the big worry is how we're going to work it out for those students.
to me, it almost has to be, I mean, you guys do what the state tells you, but to me, it almost has to be a separate class because you're going to shortchange somebody if you try to put that in with the other. I mean, that's just,
Add stuff for those dual credit
yeah.
teachers to do. Too.
I think it's important if you think back to what Ms. Hodges just said, for students in AP civics, if we actually wind up having to add just an additional course, which sounds like we may have to, that means more staff at some point. So
Correct.
we're already overstaffed, but then obviously we want to make sure the AP civics classes have the time, the students have the time they need in those classes. But then to add personal finance separate from that, now we have a teacher teaching personal finance that wasn't already teaching it. So we're adding another,
Correct.
we could potentially be adding another staff member. So,
Or loading up classes to where they're so full that
Well,
you can
true.
walk through them.
Well, this is one class, first class, the things I'm seeing, I think, I can almost, and I don't see it on very many classes, but I can almost see this as a virtual class. Because the finance part of it, it's more, it lends itself more to a virtual format than a lot of classes do. And so,
Good.
I mean, that may be something we could look at. If you're gonna take this, then you're gonna have to take this virtual part the other way to get it or something. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you guys will figure it out, think outside the box, but there, I mean, the state comes up with rules and regulations and policies
With no money.
with no money and no afterthought of how you institute that, and still remain with all the other classes you have to have,
Correct.
because there's a lot of interest and a lot of, well, we've got MOUs with Marshall and different things for some of these classes.
Yes. And part of the concern is if it can't fit into the AP government or dual credit course, and we have to make it, just an additional course, would this also affect those students that also go to ACT? How will we fit that in? That type of scheduling nightmare.
Right.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Questenberry's here. Mr. Questenberry, I mean, that would be a lot to add that to one of your classes, wouldn't it? I mean, you've got a pretty full agenda on your classes. You're teaching your AP classes.
I worry about civics, how
Yeah.
much we need it right now.
Yeah.
It's a class we need personal finance.
Yes, no question, yes. It's not that we question that it's not a needed class and kids don't need the skills. It's just how do you incorporate it in within the budget and the finances you have and the staffing you have.
The standards you're teaching already.
Right.
The personal finance standards were embedded in civics. That's why they grandfathered the civics teachers in, because they had been teaching that as part of civics class. But now it's a separate class.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have no unfinished business. Under policies and procedures, the following is to be placed on 30-day comment. Approve promotion, retention, and graduation requirements. Dr. Starch.
board members, at a not too distant board meeting, Miss Lowry talked with you about the third grade Success Act. And we let you know that night we would be coming back with revisions to policy D330 regarding elementary school promotion and retention. So Ms. Lowry and Ms. Blankenship have worked with their committee, the third grade success, I can't say that word, Success Act Committee. And they have proposed this language. You'll see much of that in highlighted yellow. But this is reflective of state law. So you can see on page, let's see, I need to take my glasses off. Yes, well, we had to, in our current policy, we talk about grade 2, K2, we have students in grades 3 through 5, but we had to separate out grade 3 because of the third grade Success Act. You can see at the bottom of page 1, number 4, the statutory exemptions to the retention in third grade. And those go letter A all the way through letter H. And then we had to go back in and change a little bit with grades 4 through 5 since we had separated out grade 3. But basically, the changes in this policy are largely the result of the third grade Success Act. The other changes are just basically cleaning up the policy. So we would recommend this be approved as placed on comment and allow our parents and the community 30 days to provide a comment to it. But again, this is based largely on the third grade Success Act.
Which again was done by our legislature.
That is correct. Just for, I'm not sure if we've communicated this. I think we did, but I sent out a message, we've done a video, we've sent a letter home to all parents of second graders. When I say we, our elementary schools sent the letter home to all second grade parents, just so that they know what is coming in third grade. So anyway, it goes along with this policy, but we need to get the policy in place at this point. Thank you.
So do I have a motion to put this policy on a 30-day comment?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Consent items A, B, C, and D. Can we vote on those together? Do we need to pull one of them or more than one?
I move we approve the consent items as were submitted to us.
I have a question on one of the bills,
Which one? You
so
wanna
if we
pull-
could pull that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, then, we'll pull the bills off, is that what you're saying then? Okay. I move we approve, the consent items with the removal of, approval of payment of bills.
All those in favor say aye.
My question was, I noticed we paid Black Knight $50,000. Are they still doing lunches or meals to send home to the kids? Is that what that is? I know we were doing that during COVID. Yes.
It was, when, meal boxes for families. We have a backpack grant and we have enough funds to do about 1,000 family meals. So that was the first set of meals that were distributed before Christmas break, and we're actually getting ready to do a second round of about 500 meals in a couple of weeks.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's what it was.
Well, while we're on that, I still am appalled that we pay $35,000 a month for attorney fees. I find that mind-boggling. I mean, that was a lot of money. That just blows my mind.
Everything cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, for consent items B, do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business. A, approves, school board calendar. Mr. Dillon.
Mr. Dillon isn't able to be here this evening, so before you board members, you should have a calendar packet. Do we have that? Okay, the first page is the ballot that was distributed to all staff. Staff voted between February 26th and March 4th. They had 5 days to vote. You can see the second page of your packet is calendar 1. That's the earlier start calendar. The third page, I'm sorry, was calendar 2. That is the later start calendar that was presented at the last board meeting, and that was based upon much input we received from students, parents, and the community during the comment period. And then page 4 is the calendar vote by location for the current, for the proposed calendars. So you can see the votes for calendar 1 totaled 337, so that's the earlier start calendar. Calendar 2, the later start, had a total of 752 votes. We had a total of 1,089 votes received. Based upon the votes as received by our schools and locations, we respectfully request approval of calendar 2.
I have a quick question. It just, my mind works. How many actual eligible voters do we have?
It would be the total staff, I'd say around 1,400. I don't have
I'm
the
just
exact
curious. I
count.
mean,
In the last couple of years, in 24, we had 1,143 staff
So, yeah.
vote. Last year, we had 1,045. And then this year, we had 1,089.
so it's
So
about,
it's
about
comparable
the
with what we
same.
normally
Okay,
get.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. So based on that, we would recommend calendar 2 be approved. Should it be approved tonight by this board, Mr. Dillon will submit it to the State Department of Education for consideration and approval for next school year.
I just think it's really nice that our county does let our teachers in service for people, but a lot of counties don't.
You're correct.
Also, I would like to comment, I mean, I think it's really, comment, Mr. Dillon, that once we got the public input on this, we went back, and that was from a hearing, and from letters that came in, we came back and added a second calendar, which ends up being the calendar that was chosen, which doesn't, I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight because I'm gonna be here no matter what day it is, okay? And don't have any kids still in school, and the grandkids, they'll complain either way. So, you know, they want an early, late start date, early out date, like most teachers. They want it like that. But I think it's admirable, and now that we had that and we had the vote there, I think it shows that people appreciate that. So that being said, I will move that we adopt calendar number 2 as our recommendation.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Ford, if I may, before we move on, I don't think I'm out of order. I would like to thank the students. At our last meeting, I think we had 3, maybe 4 students come and speak about the calendar, and I appreciate the students. I appreciate everyone exercising their right, but I really appreciate the students who came out and spoke. They were very well spoken and had very good reasons for the request. So I want to thank them, and likewise, I want to thank Mr. Dillon for his work on adjusting the calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Consider the approval of the request for exemption to the 4-year attendance. She's back.
Good evening again. This evening, I am requesting attendance exception for 3 students. They are Woodrow Wilson High School students and are completing through option pathway. Any questions? That is a grand total this year, or this semester, I'm sorry, of 155. Thank you.
Any questions? You have a motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Consider the approval of Category 1 E-rate agreement for fiber WAN with Optimum. Ms. Polly.
Miss Polly isn't able to be here this evening, so Mr. Cook is going to do it.
Good evening, President Ford, Dr. Starcher, board members. We're requesting a 3rd-year extension of our fiber WAN contract with Seabridge Telecom. The charge monthly is $21,990 a month. The total yearly is $263,880, but we are reimbursed 90% of that from the federal government through the E-rate program. This would be for effective dates July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027, and this is the 2nd renewal of the initial contract from 24-25.
Any questions?
We've been pretty happy with their performance.
Yes. Yep.
Can I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reimbursement of 90%. I like that.
Yeah, well,
There you go.
don't get used to it.
D, consider approval of the PERT quote for Crescent Elementary Pre-K and 5 through 12 playground equipment. Look who's here.
Good evening, President Ford, Dr. Starcher.
Turn your mic on. Gotcha.
Sorry. Good evening, President Ford, Dr. Starcher, and board members. I'm here this evening to present you the quote that you've received in your packet for Crescent Elementary. Mr. Cook pulled it up. This is a preliminary sketch. We will be we're still working on some color selections for Crescent. As you may remember with their playground, it's both all in one. So we will be adding some fencing that's not included in the quote for the pre-K playground. They're off to your right. And then the 5 to 12 playground will be towards the left. That would be behind the school. And this way, this would allow the 5 to 12 and pre-K to be in the same area for supervision. The basketball area, it's there, just to show that we are putting one in. The other item that's not included in this drawing and on your quote will be the concrete up near the small shade and music area. We'll be putting in like a radial concrete pad, so special needs students would be able to access the equipment as well as some musical pieces too.
Real slope back, so we're up on top. We're gonna flatten up on top before we go over the cliff.
Yes. Last week, myself, Mr. Dillon, and Mr. Daniel, the equipment that's currently there and the mulch maintenance will be taking that out and flattening that.
Flatten it out some.
Everything, yeah. Yes. It was a work to get these pieces in, but they're really great pieces with the swings, and the Volta spinner is ADA accessible, and we tried to add several pieces that.
I have had a request from Fairdale Little League, who, if you haven't been down, they have a brand new Little League park at Fairdale. Those guys are doing a lot of donations on it. For any playground equipment we might have that's going to be accessed, they would like, if you would give it to anybody, keep them in mind, okay? So, Richard, that they, I guess the new park is in it. They like to have a little playground down there too, so that anything like that that we're not going to utilize, consider any kind of donation. No, that looks good. That looks real nice.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the quote from Burke for Crescent?
I move we approve the quote as submitted to us from Burke for the new recreation, or the new playground at Crescent.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval of Burke for Daniels Elementary School playground equipment.
Mr. Cook is bringing this one up as we are starting to finish the 5 to 12 playground for Daniels Elementary. It is now time to start working on the pre-K playground. And so this will be a coordinating playground, as it is very close, just the parent driveway in between. And we've worked with the teachers and staff there in designing the playground for their pre-K. Now we do have, and I believe Mr. Richard will speak a little bit about the site work to do there, because we will be locating it on the current 5 to 12, the old current 5 to 12 playground, and we'll be removing their pre-K playground that they currently have and putting this in the area where the poured in place that we did years ago. Those will be the location of it. And so with that, we do have some site work, also the fencing that's not included in that. But this will be a space that will fulfill the requirements necessary for a pre-K.
Didn't get any of those great tiles, did you? Those old fiber tiles we had out there at Daniels? Once they put in there, they're gonna last forever. I think that happened there, but you do it.
Jen, I know this is about pre-K. Just to give the board an update, am I correct that the 512 will be finished within the next couple of weeks?
Days.
Days.
So the playground installer is currently there. The load of mulch came today, and they are working on putting the rubber mulch in. And I believe Mr. Butcher had contacted the site fence installer to go ahead and come back to finish that. We will have then, once it is finished, we'll do our punch list and walk through and make sure everything's okay. So we should have the kids playing very shortly on the Daniels playground.
That's great.
So where is the pre-K going to be located again? I'm
You
trying to
know,
picture this. I
when
know
you're-
now we have the loop around the building.
Yes. When you kind of walk out the kitchen door,
Okay,
okay, it's the playground directly in front of you.
okay.
Will be the
So
pre-K
we're on the
playground.
far left side.
So it's closer to their exit that they come out, rather than going down over that little hill.
Okay.
And so it'll be right there in that area.
Just curious, Burke, do you get other people bidding on it?
We do. Also with Burke, they are on the Sourcewell contract, so we are able to obtain pricing, Sourcewell contract pricing.
So, motion,
I move we approve the bid from Burke for the pre-K playground at Daniels Elementary as was submitted to us.
there's a second, second. Marie second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
A, approve superintendent's recommendations for personnel, 25-26.
Good evening, everybody. If you will flip to page 1 of your recommendation sheet, we have under B, retirement, a clarification on the retirement date for Lenora Brown should be 7/31/26. This is the 25-26, not pink, white. There's a 25-26 and then a 25-26 addendum, and I think the addendum is pink, correct, Carla? Yes. Do you not have a white? Yeah. Do you have a white?
On that, I was going to move, we go into executive session for the 26, 27. We can go ahead and then we can address the 25, 26 when we come back out. Is that okay? Everyone? Well, I move we go into executive session for discussion of the 26, 27 recommendations.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, we're back out of the executive session. A, approve superintendent's recommendations for personnel 25 and 26 year.
Everyone, you should have the correct sheet placed in front of you. Now, this is for the 25-26, letter A. On page 1, there is a correction that needed to be noted. A date clarification under section B, retirement for Lenora Brown should reflect a date of 7/31/26. And then on page 4, a volunteer under Stanford Elementary, the first name Janae Scott should be removed.
Okay, your recommendation.
My recommendation is as presented with the corrections noted by Ms. Samanko.
Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation with the corrections as noted.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Approve superintendent's recommendation for personnel 26, 27.
No corrections for the addendum. No changes. No changes.
Your recommendation.
My recommendation is as presented.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay. My vote is no as well.
Mr. Ford, are you, let me ask a point of question. Are we voting down the whole thing, or are we able to pull these out and vote on the one elements? So vote down the whole thing. I would go back and ask that we, if you guys are opposed to everything in this recommendation or just certain parts of the recommendation. Well, let's vote, can we not vote on them individually then, so we can pass the ones that we can? Go through each section, start out with the elementary principles. So we can do that as a motion, so we don't have to toss the whole thing. Okay. Then we'll start, my thing would be that we would go with A, and ask we vote on A, under elementary principles. What your recommendation is on that?
My recommendation is as presented.
I'll move that we accept the recommendation on elementary principles. So, second.
Oh,
She would,
You second it?
okay, I'll second it.
okay, now we can vote, now we can actually vote on it. We can vote on it, yeah.
What are we voting on? Tell me.
A, elementary principles.
Just the principle.
The four,
Yeah,
there's four of them there. We're voting all four of them together. We could vote them on it individually if we wanted to. But if we take them as a group, everybody's okay with that? All right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay. I'm voting right now. Okay, then opposed? Larry? Ask for who's opposed.
Who's opposed to it?
I guess 3.
3-2? Okay. So that part fails. Okay. Is there any other section that we want to vote on individually?
I have a problem with so many teachers being cut from one school under secondary at Fairfield.
Okay,
And I have a problem with putting autism and autism together,
okay.
which is A under special education.
Is that section elementary teachers A and then A also for secondary teachers? Am I correct?
For me, it's
That-
secondary teachers A and special education A.
So we can go ahead and vote on elementary teachers A then, correct? Okay, Mr. Ford.
My recommendation is as presented.
A motion?
I move that we vote on elementary teachers A as was recommended by the superintendent.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And then secondary teachers, that was one you had objection to?
You know, I know track field's enrollment has dropped,
Yep.
and I know why we made those cuts. I
Okay.
just think 6 teachers,
Okay.
one school at one time is a bit much.
Okay,
My recommendation is as presented.
okay. I move, then we take the superintendent recommendation on secretary teachers.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. So, one, no. Okay, next one is academy, careers and technology, extra curricular secondary, federal programs, all the way down to, we'll stop at special education.
And I
Your recommendation?
need Miss Simonko to come forward.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Simonko, I believe we need to make changes to federal programs.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you identify those, please?
I will on,
If that's okay, or well, hold on, Miss Simonko, I'm sorry. Do you want to do that and we can make the changes now? Based on your action on the other, we have to adjust under federal programs.
well, if we didn't do it now, when would we do it?
That's why I'm thinking we should do it now.
Do it now, yeah.
Okay, so Miss Simonko.
so under Section A Federal Programs, please remove Ann Baker and Leslie Gilfillan.
Thank you, Miss Simonko. My recommendation is as presented with those two removed.
Make clear, we're voting on academy and careers A, extracurricular A, federal programs A with the corrections noted. Okay,
And in federal programs B.
and federal program B, excuse me, yes. So moved.
Motion,
I'll make the motion, yes.
for a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Probably could have, but we redid it, whatever, yeah. Yeah. Down to special education.
My recommendation is as presented.
Okay, I move that we approve superintendent's recommendation for special education as was presented to us.
Second?
Somebody second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No,
That's 4-1.
One opposed.
Okay, now we're down to aides, cooks, secretaries, and transportation.
My recommendation is as presented.
I move we accept the superintendent's recommendation on aides, cooks, secretaries A, B, and transportation A. That's what's by the superintendent.
Have a second?
Up to you, baby.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're down to the pink sheet, right?
Green, pink or green?
Pink. We're on the
It
pink
is
sheet.
pink.
That's an addendum, right?
My recommendation is as presented.
I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation as was submitted.
For a second?
second.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Get out of here.
That's all we have on our agenda. This meeting is adjourned.